So I'm sure you read the article in the Commercial Appeal recently on Edge and a reported $1.138 billion in total new tax revenue generated. Now, this, in my view, is an example of a non-investigative press providing a grade floor, which we have going on here in town, but providing a grade floor not for the school system, but for Memphis Tomorrow and their compact, non-evolving compact, and group of initiatives. And what I'm going to attempt to do in this tool that I'm providing here is to show the real new, to model the real new revenue generated, and also model the net impact to the taxpayer. And so the driving question variable that allows the user to model in whatever percentage they want to here is what percentage of above companies, these are all the retention companies, would not have spent 3 to 10 times more than pilot benefit in alternate location to relocate and would have stayed in Shelby County without local edge retention pilot. Now, the problem with the $1.13 billion is it assumes that without a retention pilot, we would have lost all these companies. And that's just not true. I mean, I don't know where Valero would have went. Soleil's getting free water, the best water in the world out of the ground for free. And there's a whole other group of companies that would not have left, that would have not spent 3 to 10 times more of a pilot benefit in a alternate location, which we assume would have been the same amount we provide in the form of retention pilot here. They wouldn't have spent 3 to 10 times more for the benefit of a retention pilot in another location. They wouldn't have done that. They would have chosen to stay here in Memphis. And so to disrupt operations and to relocate is highly risky and it's very expensive. And I'm saying in this case that I think it would be 60%. And I think that's conservative. Now, this tool allows the user to model in whatever they think it is. But what you have in this column is you have the edge reported revenue from these retention pilots. You have the retained workforce here, which is the portion of this number that's from operations, that's retained workforce. And it also models in all of the uses. It assumes, accepts the economic multipliers for the workforce. So those are modeled in here too, accepts that. Some people dispute those, but in this case, we're accepting those. And the other thing it does is it takes into account the tax benefit if the company were to have left, the tax benefit of the remaining workforce over the period of 10 to 15 years. And then it also subtracts out, since we're not providing in this model, we're not providing retention pilots, it takes into account the tax benefit of investing in local jobs that serve the local community. So what's going on is we're investing in local jobs that serve the global community as opposed to investing in local jobs that serve the local community. And we're leaving gaps in core services and education, workforce, which we all know about, transportation, safe streets, and police. And so in this case, it models that tax benefit in here, which I can defend these numbers here. Now you can change these if you want to, but the point is that in order to get at a real revenue generated number and a net taxpayer benefit, you can't assume that 100% of the companies would have left without a retention pilot. You can't not account for the tax benefit of remaining workforce. And you've got to model in the foregone tax benefit of investing in the local community. And so in this case, You can change the number to 50%. You'll see these numbers change, and etc. But in this case, I'm saying 60%. And what it does is, for each of these items, it does the same thing, but basically it's $811 million that we had in that Edge reported in revenue from retention pilots. We're saying in this model, 60% would have stayed without a retention pilot, so that's 486 million less 811 million. Then you have, in order to get to the tax benefit of the remaining workforce, if the company were to depart, you have to jump over on the other side of this probability, which would be 40%, and you would say half of those people, we would have lost half of the benefit of those people that would have left or not as employed or employable or whatever, and you come up with this number of $133 million. Now, research says that only 44% of people are willing to relocate for a career opportunity, one. And two, the other thing is the company's only going to pay for about 30% of them to move anyway. So this model's in, and the thing about this number is that what will happen if a company departs is people will do all kinds of different things. Some will go back to school, some will start their own business, some may even work remotely for the company that departs, some will get new jobs. Some will start their own business. Some will retire. And so the tax benefit of the remaining workforce or the remaining population needs to be taken into account. And then, so that's 133 million. And in this case, this is the tax benefit, which I can defend, of the tax abatement being instead not being provided in the form of retention, but being invested in the local community in things like fire, transportation, our police, safe streets, transportation, education, workforce, and all that, and you come up with a $306 million tax benefit. All that to say, 811 million minus 486 million minus 133 million minus 306 million is a negative $115 million tax revenue generated difference. So you've actually lost taxpayer money with retention pilots. So instead of having a $1.138 billion revenue generated, you have 115 million minus the new expansion pilots, which is 331 million. You have that 331 million minus 115 million comes out to be $215 million that was generated net in new tax revenue minus the 1.13 billion. That's a $922 million reported difference. And then you take that 215 million is which your revenue, and you subtract out the 440 million in tax abatements to come up with a negative $224 million benefit to the taxpayer over a 10 to 15 year period. So that's whatever that is. It's about 20 million bucks a year. So that's what I see here in new tax revenue generated and net tax and the net benefit to taxpayers. Again, you can change these around to where you can have only 10% of the company would have stayed without retention pilots, or only 50% of the pilot would have stayed, or 60%. I think it's 60%. I mean, that's what I think. I don't know that. But there's no doubt, if you didn't offer retention pilots, you would have lost some companies. But you would have also been invested in the local community and building infrastructure and providing core services that would attract companies and keep companies here, like police, safe streets, transportation, education, workforce. So, again, this is what this is all about, and hopefully it's a benefit to someone. Thank you.